welcome to this edition of Caribbean House Talk. On Caribbean House Talk, we always aim to bring you the issues from funny to curious and even tearfully serious. All right, so as usual, we're going to start off with our spicy dish. And today we're going to have Miss Harrison do the honors, or dear Harrison.
I'm honored to do this. Would you let your new boyfriend babysit your children?
Your new boyfriend babysit your children?
The answer is no.
New girlfriend for that matter, because I think these days you got to be careful with both boyfriends and girlfriends. What say you, Malfi?
I will say yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
I would, because by the time he's my boyfriend.
New boyfriend.
New boyfriend. Well, either this is a relationship that I have established with him, and if I'm his girlfriend, that means that I trust him. And if I trust him with me, I would trust him with my son.
Ooh.
Yes, I would.
Okay. What about you, Miss Harrison?
Oh no, I wouldn't even elaborate. The answer is no, because I don't know him that much.
Because he's new.
He's new, you know.
So what about, and you don't really know a person until you know them. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
So what about you?
No. You know, you saying new, I don't know what that really means.
Like you just met someone, you start dating them.
No, well, that's
3 months.
Yeah, let's say 2-3 months, 4 months even.
No, I would not. I personally like to get to know someone better. I'm not even sure if 3 months I'd bring them around my kids. That's
Exactly.
It's still a little early, you know. But
What about you,
Oh no. No.
Well, I have the last word on this. I mean, it is an absolutely no. There is no way that I would even hesitate. There is no fumbling. Absolutely no. Because you don't know people till you know them. When you're dating someone, you're getting a chance to get to know them to see if you want to go further with them. So
that Trish is not a boyfriend. You said this is a new boyfriend.
A new boyfriend.
Yes. It's not to me, dating is not a boyfriend.
So
What is
a new boyfriend?
What is
in your opinion?
In my opinion, somebody that I have a commitment and a relationship with, that I know that we have gone through different things in our lives together.
Okay, then that's an all and seasonal boyfriend. We're talking now about a boyfriend that it's a boyfriend, but it's new. The relationship's fairly new. Let's say less than 6 months. You would trust your child?
I would.
Wow.
If I trust him.
But you don't know him yet to trust him.
Well, with those 6 months that we have, if we have spent time together and I really trust him, I would.
Oh, I don't know that you can know somebody in this world. I don't know if you can know somebody in 6 months enough to trust them. I don't even want to bring you around where I live. You know, I don't want to bring you around my kids at that age.
I think that's a little bit not realistic, that you wouldn't bring him where you live. You're going out with this person is going to drop you off, this person is going to pick you up.
I'm a grown woman who drive. Tell me where to meet you. I'm not kidding.
No.
Little kids pick up each other.
No, I think that when you're dating and if you want to be the lady and he comes and pick you up, he's going to know where you live. That's a normal thing.
I agree with that. I would like a man to pick me up. I just don't think I'd want him around my children unless it's something serious.
And for me, when I say when the boyfriend word comes up, it's a serious relationship for me.
I think your perception of boyfriend was different than what I meant.
A boyfriend is almost somebody that already chose me and I chose him to have a committed relationship. And we are on the same page, and most of the time we have the same values, and I have spent a lot of time with him. I already know his family. That's a boyfriend to me. That's the description of a boyfriend.
I think that's 6 months or 3 months. A little bit too early.
Too soon. I think a year by then you could get to know somebody. And even then
you don't know them. Because they could be pedophiles in their mind. I don't know. So I wouldn't trust them.
Yeah. Because one of the things what pedophiles do, they often take jobs that involve children. And they would date women with children. That's an easy access, easy source. Now that doesn't mean every man is a pedophile. The majority of men are not pedophiles.
Right.
But I think everybody I meet is a pedophile until you show me otherwise.
Right.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, no, but in today's world,
you know something? I used to be the person that I would trust you until you prove that I can't. Yeah. Now, I don't trust you until you prove I can. And the same thing goes here with me. I'm going to just look at every man as a potential pedophile. And you see now, Georgia is big. He's no baby right now. But let's say when he was smaller, if I had broken up with his father, he was young, but he wasn't like little. But let's say I broke up with his dad when he was a little kid, and I got a boyfriend. You're a pedophile until I know otherwise. Because, I don't want to go to jail for anybody. So I'd rather get to know you if I'm having my child around you.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
I think so.
I remember this one person that I
How
was
do you think
dating.
of somebody as a pedophile and date them?
No,
doesn't
a
even sound
potential.
right.
No, a potential pedophile. Meaning,
I don't know if I can
No.
say that. That doesn't even
it
sound
sounds
right.
crazy, but this is my way of being extra careful. My thing is, I'm going to see you as a potential pedophile until you prove to me that you're not.
He's not going to know that. It's in your mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's something you keep in your mind.
Yeah, that's not something you turn. You don't say, "Oh, I'm thinking you could be a pedophile." No, but I'll give you an idea, and this is going to sound crazy. In my second marriage, when we got married, we dated for a year, but it was long distance, right? And then he moved here, and we were supposed to get married that June, and he suggested we moved it up, so we got married in February, which is, I think I mentioned on another show. It's the craziest thing I ever did. Caused a lot of issues with my family. They were upset, etc. I remember one time I was going to England. My cousin had a premature baby, and I had just gone through it myself with Jojo, and so I decided to go to visit. Me and you went next time, but time before that I went. And when I was leaving, my daughter was already a grown person, about 18 years old. I brought my sister and left her here because I didn't know this man that well, which sounds crazy because you shouldn't have been marrying him. But since we did kind of rush into it, and most of our dating was long distance, and I went through this crazy phase of saying, I don't want to live in sin in front of my daughter. So of course I love myself to get rushed into the date, rush the date up. And now I'm sitting here with this guy and I'm like, I really know you that well. I'm not leaving my daughter here with you in that house.
But you did notice something. There was something inside of you that gave you that.
No, he's never tried to molest
there was
anybody that I know of.
There
I'm
was
saying,
no signals?
No, well, there was a little habit that I didn't like. That's true.
Okay.
But it didn't have to do with molesting a child.
But you
Some
knew
grown
about
people
something.
think.
But it
But-
was
but
something that just made you want
And it's something that most men engage in, but since he did engage in that particular thing, I was not going to just trust my child with this man. I brought somebody here to stay with her, an older family member.
Well, that's the right thing to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I felt like if you want to go expose yourself, that's one thing. But you don't go expose your child. I mean, she wasn't a little girl, but
Right.
leaving her in a house with this man that I want to rush something into, no, I didn't do it.
And that age too, her age
Mhm.
makes a difference because
She got boobs,
she
she
can
got,
bring
you
it
know.
on too.
Yeah, huh?
She could bring it on.
Oh, hell no, she couldn't stand him, and she's not that kind of
No, what I mean,
She's not saying
I'm
her,
not
a
personally,
woman, a young
not
girl that
personally,
age.
but I mean at that age, they
Yeah, because
can bring
their
it
body
on.
and
The
Yeah,
hormones.
Yes.
they bring it on too. So, I mean, trust is.
no, I trust my daughter. I would never
Yeah.
ever think that of my daughter. My thing
Yeah.
was her safety.
Yeah.
I would never ever
No,
think
well,
that my
she
daughter.
could do it.
Without realizing?
realizing the way she dresses, because
But you know what? A
sometimes they
pedophile
dress-
don't have to know how you dress. Because I don't care if a child or you see like a lot of women, their children get molested because they're careless with their children. My thing is if you're dating a woman or there's a child around you, even if she stripped mother naked and open up and say, come in, if you are any kind of a man, the decent man, you will not take that invitation. So I don't think there's anything. I don't want to give no man out there. That's a lot of older people used to say they bring it on too because of the way they're dressing. A rapist or a child molester has nothing to do with how that person dresses. It's just a sickness that they have. I don't know that he would have been somebody. I never had him proved to be somebody that would try to mess with my child.
Right.
But I absolutely trust my daughter. But I did not trust her safety with some man that I clearly should not have gotten married that quickly.
He did the right thing.
Yes, so I went to England and I made sure I had my sister come here and stay with her.
But
You know?
it wasn't about you having. It wasn't about you allowing him to stay with her. It's about you not trusting him
Mm-hmm.
to begin with. The relationship.
I didn't feel that I know him well enough to do that.
Well, you marry him.
And I married him, which is crazy. Exactly. But at least the one smart thing I did was make sure that she was not left in the house with him by himself. Later on, I would go wherever and leave him alone. I never felt like he was crazy enough to try something like that. But at that point, it dawned on me, I don't really know this
I think the
dude
age
that
of
well. You know, I knew him over the phone, and we had a couple of vacations together, and he came, and I went and visited long distance. I don't know this guy. He's in my house with my child.
I think the age of the kid also is a big factor.
She was 18. Most people wouldn't have cared. They would have been like, "Oh, she's big." No. But when it comes to my child, I don't trust until I know I could trust. You know, I'm going to for a while, and sometimes you could look at certain inappropriate things that men would say or do around children or with children, and it might seem innocent, but it isn't really innocent. So by then you kind of get a sense if you can trust this person. But at that point, I didn't. And yes, I wondered why I was in a marriage with somebody that I felt. Again, don't get me wrong. I never felt that, oh, he'll definitely go molest my daughter or try something with my daughter. I just felt, you rushed into this. You don't know this man that well. You better not leave this young girl in this house with this man alone.
So it's really not so much how long. For some of us, it's really not how long. It's when you feel you can trust someone and your comfort level is there that you can leave your child.
And
I can't pinpoint a year. I could say not 3 months, but I can't pinpoint whether it's a year, 6 months, or 2 years. It's when I feel comfortable and that trust is there.
Right.
And
I think that's the bottom line.
And I think that goes with any relationship. I think that you meet someone and you get this feeling, oh, I either trust him or not trust him. Of course, you have to go through the different time frame.
Yeah.
But I think that you just trust them or don't trust them. Even, like a friend, a regular friend. You will say, oh, I don't trust that
I
person.
used to be thinking like that until I kind of changed that thing. Like I said, you gotta prove to me I can trust you. I'm not trusting you until you prove otherwise. That's just me. It's just a defense mechanism that I put on. All right, so we're going to move on to our next spicy dish and item, and I'm going to move the dish to this side of the table, ladies. Somebody do the honors. Yes, you. She didn't do the twirl. Do the twirl. Do the twirl. Put it back. Put it back.
Oh, God.
Do the twirl. Woo. There we go.
Alrighty now. What would you do if your man suggests a menage a trois?
Threesome.
Threesome.
What would you do, Amanda?
Nope, not for me.
Miss Harrison?
Not for me either. I mean, I would think that he's the devil.
I call
Devil,
911.
I'm gonna call the police to come get me after I'm done
Call
with it.
911. Get me out of here.
I will call the police and say, you need to come because you're gonna come get a and you're going to come bring some handcuffs because you're going to arrest me. You can't bring that stuff to me. And you know something? I'm not trying to tell other people what their norm should be. But think about this. If a man or woman love you, they can't stand the thought of somebody is touching you intimately. You understand what I'm saying? So I think the fact that a man would even suggest that is a sign that he doesn't really have that respect level or that private love type thing for you.
But
so,
no. I don't even know if it's that. First of all, that would never happen with me. I don't believe in that. People who do it, that's their business. But I'm not sure if it has anything to do with he doesn't love you. I think some people just kind of get off on that. And most real men are not going to have a menage a trois where there's 2 men and a woman.
Right.
They're going to want 2 women.
Right.
Because they get off on seeing 2 women do whatever, or just that feeling of, wow, like I could handle both of them at the same time.
And that's the thing I have a problem with, is that most of the time it's the 2 women with a man. So my thing to you ladies, when your man come and suggest that, say, you know that cute guy at my job? Why don't we have a trio with me and you and him?
For that. Yeah.
You see how quickly he'll back that down. But he wants you with another woman to come be his
That's
fantasy.
like that fantasy.
Well, I had a little, I would say, I have a girlfriend. I had a girlfriend who is dating a much, much younger man. And he came to me and said he would like to he'd like to invite me, and she sent him. actually.
Oh,
No.
Well,
Okay.
that's what he said.
Miss
That's
Harris,
what
what
he
was
told me.
this?
Oh my
This
God.
was about 5-6 years ago.
oh
Okay,
my gosh.
We all went to a show at upstate, and I stayed at a hotel.
Mhm.
And this knock on the door, and he came and he said, I'm not going to call her name, but he said, so and so said you should come and join us. Let's have a little, you know. I started.
She actually, okay, was it a little nightcap? Perhaps?
No,
Well,
apparently,
you know what? Let's
don't like
apparently
him at
he's
drink?
that type. He's a very young guy. Actually, he was half her age. Yeah, because
So she
was
needed help with him?
And she,
Yeah.
he came. I was really shocked. I was embarrassed and shocked because this is my girlfriend of many years, and I didn't believe this was happening, and I just stayed in my hotel room and cried. He left, and I realized that this is something that I would do.
I would slap
So-
him.
Yeah, but
I
did you
mean-
call her though? Did you call and
I
ask her?
didn't even know how to look in our eyes after, when we decided to leave we went to a function, and we stayed overnight. So there I am with another roommate in the room, and she says, I can't believe this, I can't believe this. So it happens.
I mean, I would
She
no. The
text
reason
you?
why I said, did you call? I would have asked you
you
because
know,
you said.
Well, afterwards she says, so what's? I need a little help too,
Then don't do it a young boy.
This guy was.
And,
he
and you
was-
want to know something? A lot of these women, it's not even that it's something they ever thought of, but just to hold on to a man, they'll do things like that.
They're
allow
still
themselves.
together,
Oh,
They live together,
She
yeah.
must like
And
it.
the relationship is strained. It's not there anymore because I just,
I wouldn't
And
talk
he
to
need
her
a place
after
to
that.
stay by now.
Oh
so
my gosh.
I can't believe
I
it.
was really shocked.
she
that
still your friend?
No, we don't. We talk, but there's no
Ew.
there's no.
Oh, let me not offend anybody. To each his own. Everybody's got their own taste. But for me, if a man suggests that to me, have a three-way, like I said, my thing to him was to say, okay, there's a cute guy on my job. You want me and you and him? And then you see how his face change. Now, once he have that kind of attitude, no, I wouldn't do anything with two guys. I'm just saying, that's the way you kind of shock them. Because the average man, when you say that, they're going to back up and say, nah, I mean, you and your girlfriend. Then I'm calling the police and say, you got to come here right now. Because there's a you're about to pick up and you're about to put some handcuffs on me. Because, no, I'm not advocating violence. It's just my way of saying, I'm going to be very pissed off. And I think that would be the end. And I think that would be the end of that. That's not for me. It's for you.
They just put him through the door. That's all. Just open the door and say, oh,
Wow. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I wouldn't do anything drastic like
just tell
that.
him to go.
But it's just my way of saying how angry I would be or how much I'm against that. But that's the thing. Okay, so Miss Otherwise, you would do the honors with the next spicy dish item?
I hope this is. Let's see what it is. Okay. Do you know your man's light signal?
Your man's lie signal when he tells a lie.
Lies.
No.
So
What? Give it away.
your husband or husbands, have you ever, or guys you're in a long-term relationship, but have you ever noticed when they have a signal that they gave without knowing when they're lying?
Sometimes the eyes are rolled.
Don't tell too much. Don't tell. If he watches the show now, he's gonna cover up.
Well, you just asked. How else is she gonna
Right,
explain?
right. Say yes or
Sometimes
no, but don't tell.
the eyes are rolled. I mean, you can tell it's a lie, but no,
Yeah.
I don't really
What
know.
about you,
much.
Malfi?
When I was married, I think he probably not looking straight into my face because I
That one
he
is
was-
common, yeah.
Yeah, he wouldn't looking straight into my face. He was very honest.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say.
No, you know your man's lie signal, and I know you have good husbands, but everybody tell a lie, even if it's white lies.
I really don't know, but sometimes if he's saying something that you really, maybe, I don't know, you would laugh.
Mm-hmm.
You
You have a
just
nervous
smile.
laugh?
Not nervous, you just smile. And you see, as soon as you smile like that, you know it's not the
Not the
truth.
What about you?
I can't say like there's
already.
some signal or something like like roll his eyes or something. I don't even. First of all, it sounds stupid, but he's very straightforward and
Okay,
honest
we're not
about
talking
a lot of
lies
things.
about big lies. We're
No,
saying
no.
when maybe he
I'm
doesn't
telling
want
you,
to
I
hear
don't
it.
have to.
You don't ever?
There's not a signal that I can say or pinpoint a specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
If something is not right, I know it. Just know it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a facial expression. It's just something that I know. I'm not sure why, but.
Well, I was married to two guys, and they could not be more different. The scariest thing was they had the same light signal. You want to know what it was? Now, anytime I ask a question, and one of them dudes were about to lie.
Okay. Clear that throat.
Yes!
Let me clear my throat.
Let me get ready.
I know. He is lying.
What if he had a cold? Trish.
No.
No?
And you know what? I don't know how with the first one, but by the second one, I already kind of started saying, let me look for your light signal. The first one, I don't know what it was that tells me he's lying. But after I kind of figure it out, however reason I did, I tested it. So you asked him a question that he probably wouldn't want to answer you honestly, but he's going to, he wouldn't want to answer, and you watch that.
Did you ask him about
The second one, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to learn your light signals. And this dude, they were so different. He had the same light signal, so I didn't have to try to figure it out.
Okay.
Oh gosh! All right, we're gonna take a break, and when we come back,
Two X's are for a reason.
they're two
Both
X's.
told the same lie.
The same lie, exactly. All right, we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna go into a their help team segment of the program. We'll be right back. I'm Trish,
I'm announcing.
I'm Irma.
And I'm Caroline.
and we are the Caribbean House Club. Hi, welcome back to Caribbean House Talk. We have a couple of issues with today that we want to discuss on today's Dear Help Team. And they're more like sort of a health issue. And we're not medical professions. We're not telling you anything that would tell you to forgo your medical routine or regimen. But these are just little homeopathic things or things that, natural things that the average woman would have encountered or experienced. The first one is breastfeeding. I hear a lot of people say there's no difference between breastfeeding and formula. Is breastfeeding better than formula, in your opinion? That's just our opinion here.
Yes, I would say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I do a lot of research on it. I breastfed my two boys, and I can see the difference.
Mm-hmm.
In growing up, the way they never had a lot of illnesses, like stomach problems, diarrhea, and all that stuff. So breastfeeding is, for me, is important.
You're not saying there's anything wrong with formula, but
nothing is wrong with the formula, because in between they would have the formula. But I thought that little touch, that human touch, the way the baby looks in your eye, that sort of thing. That's what I looked for, and I really.
You get it from your husband.
Yeah, no, but you bring this thing in the world, and you're trying to get used to it. The warmth on your body and that sort of thing. And I thought those are unique things for breastfeeding. And I was reading up on the internet once. They said breastfeeding. The American College of obstetricians and gynecologists, they totally recommend breastfeeding because it's it stops the risk of asthma and allergies, and the study shows that they have IQ scores in later childhood.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Yes, I thought that. And kids that are breastfed, they normally don't have diabetes and obesity in later years. That's their study, I don't know. That's their study.
That one I have an issue with, but
but they said
probably they're less likely to.
IQ.
Probably they're less likely to.
Yeah.
What about you, Malcolm?
I will. It depends on the health of the mother. So if the mother's eating fast food and not taking care of herself, I don't know what the benefit of breastfeeding the baby will be. So it depends on that. How healthy I feel, and then I will decide. But I didn't breastfeed.
What about you?
I did. I breastfed.
Both children?
Both. Yes.
What about you, Carolyn?
I tried it with both, especially the first one. They were like so greedy that it scared me, so I stopped.
Did you get them maybe like
I
a
literally
month,
stopped.
2 months?
Maybe like a month.
Okay.
Maybe like a month. I don't think it was. I don't believe a lot of these statistics. Being someone who knows math and stats really well, everything is skewed, and I think that every 20, 30, 40 years something comes up and they change what they said before. Now, I do think that probably breastfeeding is good if you can do it, and it probably is maybe the best thing, not because of what statistics says, but because it's a natural process. It comes naturally from your body, just like even like with every other species animal, they naturally feed their own children. So I think that's better than using some kind of man-made chemically formulated formula or something like that. But for the statistical purposes, I don't agree with any of that nonsense, because like I said, I didn't do it for long and my kids were fine. I wasn't breastfed, especially here. Like, you guys were raised in the islands. I wasn't. So during the time that I was raised, you didn't have a lot of people talking about breastfeeding back then, in that time period, And so most people were using formulas or canned milk, which is the main thing with my parents, that canned carnation milk stuff or whatever, you know what I mean? And guess what? I think we came out normal. So I can't say that you're going to be more intelligent or you'll be sicker or less sicker. I would advocate for breastfeeding if you can do it because it's natural and it comes directly from you.
Well, I breastfed both my children. The older one, most women don't, a lot of women don't have a period when they're breastfeeding. I was not that lucky. And the day my period came, I didn't for a while, and the day it came, like, she tasted something in that milk. And she made a face like, ew, like, really, like, this is horrible tasting. And she turned off of me after 5 months, but she did get 5 months of breastfeeding. The little boy, my son, I breastfed him because he was premature. He was 3 pounds 6 ounces. He was premature, and I remember saying, I have to make sure this baby have every chance possible. And you were saying something earlier about the fact that it depends on how you're eating. When he was in the hospital, he was born very premature, but I got him out of there in 5 weeks. He was 3 pounds 6 ounces. In 5 weeks, he was 5 pounds 8 ounces. Came home and never had a health problem. You know what I would do? I would go in the hospital, and we would be one hour in to breastfeed, and then they put us out the room. I would just go pump the milk for him. And I was still getting over the C-section and all that. So I used to try to get food in the hospital cafeteria, some McDonald's. It wasn't the healthiest food, but there's still nutrients in there that's good for this child.
Of course.
And being one of those people, they used to call me like a milker, because one nurse told me, if you're in the Midwest, they'll pay you to get milk. I said, no, I ain't trying to have nobody squeeze my tata so nobody else is scared. I'm going to do it for my own child. You understand? I'll do it for my own child. But I I literally had to go out and buy a small refrigerator just for his milk.
So you were like a factory.
Yes, I would just pump and pump and pump and pump. And then when I went back to work, well, it was for my child. But when I went back to work, I even took a small pump at work. And you know that pump, that room that they have up on the 5th floor? I was one of the people why they got that, because I made hell. I didn't have an office, and
sick room.
And somebody said to me, why don't you go in the bathroom? I said, do you go cook your food in the bathroom? You want me? I said no. So I demanded HR get me a place. Right. And in the end, the office that it was available up until a certain point. But I would pump the milk, put it in the fridge, bring it home. And I would say that it's very hard to breastfeed, because that little mouth, when they grab you, it could really rip stuff up. It hurts. Yeah. So I used to have to use the ointment. The ointments that are very safe, that you could use after every breastfeed, every feed. And then also you have to look at the fact that the baby, after a while, he's eating so much, and your milk is probably gonna get less. So what I started to do, my ex and I, we started putting as he got older, like 4 months, we started putting a little oatmeal. And when he got older, we put oatmeal and banana and make it a little heavier to keep him. But this is one child that only once I attempted to breastfeed, to give him formula. I was out doing my taxes, and of course I have certain little pride here. I don't want anybody to see me taking stuff out to feed this child. So I decided, somebody had sent me some samples of formula. I decided to take a bottle and give it to him. And as soon as I gave him, it went like this, like a projectile. It shot from here to way into that other room. Because he was not used to it. And the lady who was doing my taxes, she said to me, is this a breastfed baby? I said, yeah. He said, that did not agree. That child's like, it was foreign to him, and his body just rejected it. But I will say this. I will say that it is not, I don't want to put down the mothers who are not breastfeeding. It's not for everybody, you know? I grew up, like you say, in the islands. I'm tough. Watched my mother breastfed all 14 of her children. So for me, this is something that I was used to seeing. And I, like you said, people are perfectly fine just, not being breastfed and formula. But I would say that it is something that is recommended because I think there are nutrients that you cannot get from formula or anything. But I think the formula definitely should be used if you don't want to breastfeed or if you want to supplement. Not everybody had the quantity of milk I had to keep a baby, and he was breastfed for a whole year. Strictly breastfed. You know?
Factory, I didn't have it.
Yeah, so, All right, we're going to move on to the next topic. And this topic is a I don't know if that would necessarily be at your generation, but most of the women in this table are either potentially could have this issue, or could have this issue, or know somebody who have this issue. What are some of the homeopathic ways to keep the vajayjay moist? You know any tricks? You know any tricks, like little things you can do?
No.
This is a serious issue, though. This is an
issue. Yes, because I've been around for a while, and
estrogen.
We all will have that issue at some point as women. I know that, but I had a gynecologist who she said, "Look, I wouldn't give you medication. What you do is eat right.
Yes.
You don't use if you're going, don't douche. If you're going to, you must exercise. And I've exercised my entire life. Still exercising. Very hygienic. Don't spray things. A lot of women use this spray, and it dries you out. That sort of thing. So those were the things that she told me, and I stuck by them all the time. But maybe somebody else has an idea.
One of the things, and again, we're not trying to tell you if your doctor ordered something for you and you're in a doctor walk that out, you should substitute that for anything we're saying. These are just little things that I picked up as I started approaching this age. My next year is 60. And what I started to do early on is I try to incorporate root vegetables in my diet. The dasheen that we eat in the islands, the tanya, the yam. The yam even have progesterone, not just estrogen. And you know, if I needed a little help with something, there's a plant-based estrogen supplement that you can use. But there are things that you can use that are pretty safe, and it has not been an issue for me.
Yeah.
But if I wasn't eating that certain way, I'm sure it would be. Even if it's not chronic or terrible, I think it would.
Well, the diet is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Your diet is very important.
The most important thing.
The most important thing.
Yes,
So,
because your body's make of what you eat.
I mean, some women use these ointments and these things, but
I don't believe in all of
I
that
think
stuff.
they're
That's just me.
chemically, chemical problems. They create eventually. So
Because I think like your body has a natural environment, is a natural environment, and have certain secretions, and you start to mess with that and put stuff that I don't know what that does.
You raise the pH, it changes.
and the estrogen is a lot of problem too, because sometimes we lose our little estrogen.
Well, that's what happens when you get older. So
I know my thyroid affected me
as well.
Yeah, that's one of the things that affected me. So
Well, so thyroid problem potentially could cause that.
everything in your body.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we are going to have a quick discussion along these lines in terms of someone who might be a little bit more informed about this stuff than we are. We'll be right back. I'm Trish.
I'm a mountain. I'm Irma. And I'm Caroline.
And we are the Caribbean House Talk. Welcome back to Caribbean House Talk. Before we went to a break, we were talking about breastfeeding versus formula, as well as homeopathic remedies for keeping the female genitalia moist. And we have with us in our audience today, and now at our table, Cheryl Isles, who is a nurse, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about what she does and try to weigh in on this topic for us. Because the rest of us who are here, we did some research, but we're not in the medical field. So I think it have a little bit more weight hearing from somebody who might have a better look at this. So what is your feeling in terms of breastfeeding versus formula? And then we'll go to the other question.
Okay, breastfeeding, I think it's very beneficial in terms of health. I think it's more geared towards health enhancement for babies in relation to the milk itself. It has antibiotics kind of effect on the babies, helping them to withstand many of the diseases or illnesses that children would babies would have. And it has been, as one person suggested, it's a matter of being something natural. Anything that is natural to the human life or to the environment. I think that is something that we need to promote, because we know that it is something that was innate, and it's more beneficial in itself.
Okay. Well, what about homeopathic ways to keep the female genitalia moist? I mean, I do blushing. Like, do you think that it has to be something that came prescribed from a doctor, or in your capacity as a nurse, do you think that it is possible to have homeopathic stuff that could be effective?
But this is something I haven't really given serious thought to. I'm not in the OBGYN section of nursing, but many people tend to, the doctor, recently I went to my gynecologist and she offered me a cream, based with estrogen and other chemicals. But I think if you do your diet as someone suggested, I think that's the best way to maintain and exercise. It helps to maintain that the necessary, base that you need in in that area, that part of your body. And the chemicals, I'm not too much one who's fond of chemicals, so I don't really recommend that for many people. But I think that if you eat right and you exercise and you live a healthy lifestyle, and if you have partners, make sure that they also maintain their end of the bargain in terms of health. I think that it would help you to, enjoy life and have the necessary health.
The moisture.
The moisture that the body
because
needs.
I think what happens is as we get older,
Yes.
the hormones, they're not regulated anymore
Yes,
as
you're
well
right.
as they were.
Yes,
The
yes.
body's not functioning at the optimal level. And when you start eating well and exercising, then the hormones regulate.
Yes.
And that's when you see the difference.
Yes.
The cream can
You are
do
right,
it,
you are
but it
right.
would do it chemically. But if you can do it with your body, which is what your body knows from the get-go, then it's better.
Yes.
And another thing too, the flaxseed and the soy products help you.
Yes.
Flaxseed and vitamin E. That's what I used to take. I usually take, and those are very important to your body.
Yes.
Especially flax seeds.
Yes.
Going back to the breastfeeding thing, I told earlier on that my 13-year-old was born at seven, not even quite 7 months gestation. It was just before his 7-month gestation, and so basically, I told you guys how I did all the regimen with the breastfeeding and so forth, and he is most kids in his situation. Like my grandson is full. He actually was overdue. He's wearing glasses. This child would read in the dark if you give him a chance. My son, he is in all advanced classes. Beautiful skin. He never had a problem from the day I brought him home, and I was so panicked because 5 weeks to bring home a child that's premature is scary. But he had never had. The only thing he had at one point was he had a little asthma when he was to a certain age. And I believe a lot of that came from when they go to school, they start eating little corn cobs and stuff with all the dyes in it and so forth. And once I started cutting some of those things out of his diet, I said, you're not going to take stuff with that coloring. I mean, they'll get some sometimes. You can't protect them from everything. Then his asthma went away. It disappeared. So I absolutely go by breastfeeding, and I absolutely am a true testament to the fact that some of these homeopathic things can work, and more mainly in the diet. You got to eat the right types of food to keep that your body running in the right way.
And get enough sleep too.
Mm-hmm. Get enough sleep. That's true. That's true. And even your skin, your skin. You don't want dehydrated and kind of aged out looking skin. I want to look like Miss Harrison.
Oh.
Yes, we do.
Yes. All right, so this brings us to the end of this edition of Caribbean House Talk. As usual on Caribbean House Talk, we aim to bring you the issues from funny to curious to tearfully serious. We want to thank our guest host, Miss Cheryl Isles, for coming on and giving us some of those medical advice and being with us today in the House Talk. All right, so bye-bye.